Would you buy a literal rock from a beach, put it in a cardboard box with breathing holes, and pay actual money for it? Most people think that to build a multi-million-dollar business, you need to invent a groundbreaking piece of technology. You think you need to spend years in a lab, file complicated patents, or manufacture advanced machinery. But in 1975, an ordinary man named Gary Dahl proved that you can become incredibly wealthy by selling a completely free commodity that you can find on any beach in the world. He didn't invent anything new. He just understood a fundamental secret about human psychology and the true power of marketing. To understand how this bizarre fortune was made, we have to look at Gary's life before the breakthrough. He was working as a freelance copywriter in California. He was completely broke, living paycheck to paycheck, and constantly stressing about how to pay his bills. One night, he went out to a local bar to have a drink with his friends. The conversation at the table quickly turned into a massive venting session about their pets. His friends were complaining loudly about how much work it took to keep a dog or a cat alive. They complained about the expensive vet bills. They complained about cleaning up messes on the carpet. They complained about having to walk their pets in the freezing rain, and how much money they spent on pet food every single month. Gary sat there listening to the chaos, and he decided to make a joke to lighten the mood. He looked at his friends and told them that they all had the wrong pets. He told them that he had the perfect pet and that it didn't cost him a single cent to maintain. He told them that his pet was a rock. He explained that a rock doesn't need to be fed, it doesn't need to be walked, it never gets sick, and it will never die. His friends laughed hysterically at the joke, and the night ended. But when Gary woke up the next morning, he couldn't stop thinking about it. He realized that beneath the joke laid an incredible economic truth. People were absolutely exhausted by the responsibilities of everyday life, and they desperately wanted a reason to laugh. He decided to take the joke seriously and turn the concept of a pet rock into an actual retail product. Now, if Gary had just thrown a bunch of rocks into plastic bags and tried to sell them, he would have failed instantly. No one is going to buy a bare rock because a rock has zero intrinsic value. Gary understood that consumers do not buy a product for what it physically is. They buy a product for the emotion, the story, and the packaging surrounding it. He realized that the packaging was the product. He went down to a construction supply yard and bought a massive load of smooth gray stones. These stones were imported from Rosarito Beach in Mexico. He didn't choose rough, ugly gravel. He picked pebbles that were perfectly uniform, round, and smooth to the touch. The physical cost of each stone was roughly 1 single cent. Next, he focused entirely on the unboxing experience. He designed an elaborate, custom cardboard carrying case for the rocks. The box was styled exactly like a real animal crate that you would use to transport a puppy or a cat. It was made of heavy cardboard, featured a little handle on top, and most importantly, it had literal breathing holes cut into the sides so the rock wouldn't suffocate. Inside the box, he placed a soft bed of real wood shavings for the rock to sit on comfortably. But the real stroke of financial genius was the instruction manual. Gary spent weeks writing a 32-page booklet titled The Care and Training of Your Pet Rock. This booklet was an absolute masterpiece of comedic writing. It treated the rock as if it were a highly intelligent, deeply sensitive living creature. The manual contained detailed instructions on how to properly handle your new pet. It explained how to teach the rock basic commands like sit and stay. Gary noted that the command sit was incredibly easy for the rock to learn, but the command roll over required a tiny bit of extra assistance from the owner. He also included a section explaining what to do if the rock appeared to be stressed, advising owners to simply place it back in its box for a quiet nap. The total cost to manufacture the entire setup, including the rock, the box, the straw, and the printed manual, was roughly 30 cents. Gary decided to price the pet rock at $3.95. This meant he had an unbelievable profit margin on every single unit sold. He took his prototype boxes to a major gift show in San Francisco. Buyers from high-end department stores saw the product and started laughing out loud. They realized it was the ultimate gag gift for the upcoming holiday season. Orders started trickling in, but Gary knew he needed a massive wave of attention to go truly viral. He wrote up a clever press release and included a photograph of himself surrounded by boxes of his pet rocks. He sent it directly to major news outlets. The story caught the attention of Newsweek and Time magazine. Then, Gary was invited to appear on The Tonight Show, which was the biggest television show in the country at the time. During the live interview, he played along with the joke perfectly, keeping a completely straight face while explaining the medical benefits of owning a low-stress stone. The next morning, the entire country went absolutely wild for the pet rock. Suddenly, Gary was hit with an unstoppable avalanche of demand. Orders were coming in faster than he could physically package the stones. He had to hire dozens of people to work around the clock just to stuff rocks into cardboard boxes. During the peak of the craze, Gary was selling more than 10,000 pet rocks every single day. Every major department store in America was begging for more inventory. People were buying them in bulk to give to their friends, their bosses, and their family members as Christmas presents. The fad burned incredibly bright, lasting for roughly 6 months before the public finally moved on to the next trend. But by the time the craze officially ended, Gary Dahl had sold over 5 million pet rocks. He had generated millions of dollars in pure revenue. He went from being a completely broke copywriter to a multi-millionaire, moving into a giant mansion and buying a luxury sports car, all funded by free beach stones. So, what is the real fluff-free business lesson that you can apply to your own wealth journey today? Gary proved that you do not need to create a complex product to make millions. Wealth is created when you take a low-cost item, add incredible creative value to it, and solve an emotional need for the consumer. In Gary's case, the emotional need was humor, novelty, and the desire for a simple gift. When you look at modern e-commerce brands today on platforms like Shopify or Amazon, the most successful ones use this exact same framework. They take standard, everyday items that anyone can buy wholesale, wrap them in beautiful custom packaging, create a highly compelling brand story, and sell them for a massive premium. You do not need to wait for a high-tech breakthrough to start an online side hustle. You just need to look at the ordinary items around you and ask yourself how you can package them differently. If you can change how a consumer feels when they interact with an object, you can completely change the price they are willing to pay for it. If you want to learn how to spot these high-margin opportunities and master the secrets of modern product branding, hit that subscribe button right now. Welcome to WealthWise, and we will see you in the next video.